Hey Stuart, so here we will be covering about few things why we need to give some reasons for academies to adopt our current model, right? So especially in the market like Kerala, it is going to be super difficult to adopt some kind of a compliance or some kind of the framework that we are right now suggesting. So we need to give them incentives and reasons why we think they need to adopt this model, right? So these are the few things that I have identified personally, which would add or which would give them some kind of an additional reasons to adopt this model, right? So the first thing is probably would be the tournament eligibility criteria. Like if we are giving them some kind of a tournament, maybe some kind of a ladder, where we say that this particular cat academies are eligible to participate in that event, or this particular academies are only eligible to participate in this event, or maybe this level of players are only eligible to participate in this event. So if that become like a mandate or become part of the compliance, then the academies would be forced to follow it. And the other thing is a player registration and the transfer gate, like what we were talking about implementing in the UK. Similar, if we could create some kind of a passport for player career, and the registrations and also the transfer of players happens through the data that is accumulated through Dartle, it would also give the academies an additional incentive to move to this particular system, to our system. And official grading and recognition, I think that would definitely be part of the compliance framework that you are adopting, right? And of course, the soft levers would be the Dartle workflow integration, which we will be doing from our end, where we will be integrating your compliance framework into our existing system so that everything is available in one area. And the public directory and the parent pressure, like let's say when we have everything, the public directory, everything in one place, where the academies and the federation would can get all the data at one place. I think that would eventually help academies also move easier to the Dartle system, right? And the other incentive, what I was thinking is about the CSR and the sponsorship pool. Not sure whether you remember our previous conversation where we are thinking about uh, the KFA becoming like a a fund aggregator where they will be funding the academies based upon the reports that is generated from the daughter, right? So that is going to be like a key thing if it turns out really well. Because at the academies in Kerala, especially at the grassroots, they crave for money and they crave for this kind of help. So if we can actually give them a platform where we assure them that if you go through the certain process, you can or you are eligible to get a certain amount of money, right? So this would actually incentivize them to move again more and more closer to the daughter system. The adoption becomes also much more easier, right? And the other thing is the fee justification. Let's say now if the cat 1 academies, right, there is a difference probably would be from the cat 1 academies and cat 4 academies. So let's say there is few two academies in the cat 1, right? And now they are in a position to charge higher in comparing to a cat 4 academy, because right now for that academy they could openly say out like we are cat 1 academy, and if you can go to the KFA website you will see that we are cat 1 academy and we are compliant to the uh, KFA's compliance standards, so we deserve to charge you higher, right? Now the cat 4 academy cannot do that. So this could be give this also would give them a huge advantage and boost. And also the other thing is here, uh, maybe lower graded academies, they can actually negotiate with with the KFA for getting the infrastructure or getting the equipment such as a discounted cost so that they can also climb the ladder. Right. And the other thing is the verified elite pool, right? Where we are actually showing them a pathway from the grassroots to the Super League Kerala, right? So if that pathway can be enabled through the Dartle system for them, for almost every single academy and for every single parent. If KFA is coming and telling there is a trial tomorrow, and the data that we are going to use for the trial is from the Dartle, and we are only inviting the academies who are Cat 1 or Cat 3, or who are certain criteria is complied. So if that is the case, then they are in one way forced to move to the system, which will again give us a huge advantage. And the other thing is the international exposure. For example, let's say what the Blackburn Rovers did in India. Similarly, if you could actually invite few people or few academies, were they going to get the physical data, the medical data, technical data, tactical data about the players? Then we can also give them an international pathway program where we could select a handful of few players and give them the opportunities to play in the European market. So that also would become a huge advantage for the academies. And the other thing is the academy attribution. Like when a player turns pro, then the KFA formally recognize the developing academy or boosting their reputation and the market value. So, if a player from the KFA get an opportunity, let's say in the Blackburn Rovers first team, right? You know how much of a big headlines that would be in India. So that is the kind of success that we need to create. And let's say if you go along with the line of the KFA, they want every single member of the Indian football team to be scouted from Kerala. That is a huge ambition that they have, right? At least if through the system, if we can get at least a minimum of 70 to 60 percentage for them, they are going to market it as their success, right? So this would be again, let's say, why the academies need to adopt to the system. Like we are talking about the prodigies like Phil Ford and or Bakir or Saka coming from the EPPP framework. Similarly, we need to give the academies the reasons uh, to believe in this compliance framework, right? So that would be a great thing. Then the other thing is the infrastructure priority. This is like a huge thing, especially when it comes into the KFA and also when it comes into academy, because a infrastructure, everyone would be demanding some space and time, especially with the Kerala Football Association. They have a uh, they have access to a lot of football infrastructure across Kerala, right? So if if you are compliant and if your academy is compliant to certain criterias, then we can actually give that particular academy some level of priority. That every even I think that is a like a moneymaker for the federation, and also it would give the academies like, if we don't do this, then we are gonna fall behind, right? That is a kind of an insecurity feeling that the academy is gonna get. And the other thing is the coach attraction. Definitely, if you are a big academy, like if you're a Manchester United or if you're an Arsenal or if you're in a Blackburn Rovers academy, that's where the best coaches would love to work with. So similarly, similar kind of an aspiration value we can create here as well. And the other thing is the administrative fast track. So that is the added benefit of it. Like we are getting everything digitalized. And of course, in a country like India, digitalization is going to be like a cakewalk. That is absolutely for sure. And of course, the safety and the risk management. Then we have got the liability protection. We have got the data ownership, where the data is completely owned by uh, the players and the academies and the federation. So there would be a combined data ownership framework that we can also create. So these are the kind of the incentive ecosystem that we can develop with our system. So from this, we are actually giving the academies the reasons why they need to adopt to the Dottle. For here, we are telling them, if you want to play in a Super League, if you want the players to get recruited to Super League Kerala, then you have to follow this framework model. If you want a CSR fund or a sponsorship, then probably you need to adopt this model. If you want to get a priority based infrastructure access, then you need to go to this model. If you need to get the best coaches, then probably you need to become the CAT one. If you need to have an administrative fast track, then probably you need to uh, you need to comply certain criterias. Then if you need to increase the fees and tell the parents that the reason why we are increasing the fees is because we are a Cat 1 or a Cat 2 academies, then still you need to go through this certain criteria. And if you need to get an international exposure for your players, then you need to have the data ready. So now, if you build the entire framework around this model, now it becomes super, super imperative for academies to move to this current system, because otherwise they get a feeling that they will fall behind, right? So I think probably while you're trying to create the proposal, uh, these points would definitely help you to shape your thoughts, and also you can also suggest the academies, oh sorry, the KFA, like while you are presenting this in front of the KFA board, you could actually suggest Akshay, like you could actually use these points, like the CSR, the fee justification, the international exposure, the academy attribution. So it becomes much more easier for Akshay to present this in front of the KFA, because the KFA is always looking for two things, like how this adoption can become easier and also how they're going to make money out of it. So the first thing, how the academy and why the academy need to adopt it, I think these points will have answers to it. And if you think you could also add on top of it, please feel free to do that as well. And if you need any assistance, or if you have got any questions regarding this, anytime you can actually reach out to me as well.